that we have full attendance of the Township Committee tonight. Ms. Alden, may we please have the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
Yes, sir. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was sent to the Courier News in Somerville and to the Burnsville News in Whippany, to all subscribers, and then posted here at the Municipal Building as of January 15th, 2020.
Great, thank you. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Okay. Approval of minutes. I gave some minutes to Judy earlier today, some corrections on the regular Township Committee meeting minutes.
Yeah, the correction should be in front of you.
Okay, great, thank you. Does anyone have any comment to the meeting minutes that have not otherwise been provided? If not, maybe a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Permits and raffles, we have a slew of them tonight, so let's go. Permits and raffles. On-premise merchandise raffle to benefit Special Olympics New Jersey, Inc. on June 22nd, 2020 at Fiddler's Elbow Country Club. An on-premise merchandise raffle to benefit Parents Association of Oak Knoll School of the Holy Child at the USET at Hamilton Farm on May 8, 2020 from 7 to 11 p.m. An off-premise 50-50 raffle to benefit Parents Association of Oak Knoll School of the Holy Child at the USET at Hamilton Farm on May 8, 2020 from 7 to 11 p.m. Off-premise merchandise raffle to benefit the Willow School at Hamilton Farm Golf Club on April 25, 2020 from 6:30 to 11:30 p.m. Off-premise 50-50 raffle to benefit Mainstream Inc. at the Champy Party Barn on May 30, 2020 from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Social affair permit for New Jersey Turfgrass Foundation at Fiddler's Elbow Country Club on May 4, 2020 from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Social affair permit for Far Hills Country Day School at Hamilton Farm Golf Club on May 11, 2020 from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And social affair permit for Mainstream Inc. at Champy Party Barn on May 30, 2020 from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Any questions or comments? Seeing that, we have a motion to approve those permits and raffles.
So moved.
Second.
Was there a second?
Second.
Oh,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, public comment. This is the opportunity for public comments. We have two opportunities. The first is right now. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Microphone is available for those who wish to make a statement. Seeing none, we will go. Jackie?
Aye. Do I have to go up?
Yes, you have to go up. You have to go up, give us your name and address.
My name is Jackie Raper. I live in...
Wait. Let's make sure we got you live on audio. Okay.
My name is Jackie Raper. I live at 65 High Pond Lane in Wood Duck Pond. And I'm here to show my face just so that you know that people are still trying to cross Robertson. And so just keeping, just wanted you to know that we hadn't forgotten that you guys might think of doing something to help us in our endeavors crossing the road there. So that's it. Just a reminder.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. We've not forgotten. There's actually been a fair amount of research done onto that topic.
Hi, Mr. Boulardo.
Pleasure as always, Miss Summer. How are you tonight?
It's Sumner, by the way, N-E-R. Committee. I'm sure everybody's been made aware that Lavelle is under foreclosure. Okay? And I find it very, very peculiar that they got a county easement and signed an affidavit saying there's no prior mortgage subject to the property. And you guys, whoever was on the committee, approved local funds to go and allow the joggers to hit the road. And I think it's an absolute disgrace. My position still stands. I am still curious as to why I haven't been given my RAP plan or any appointed position individual from the township. The Relocation Assistance Act of 1967, I cited for Mr. Bellardo, that I'm sure his office received today. Now I have transferred my suit to the Law Division, and now I am seeking extraordinarily large damages. I am, because my mother is sitting here, a disabled individual, okay? I have been homeless since November. You sent police to my house. You didn't get it approved by the Department of Community Affairs, and you all just sit and let it happen. Just let it happen. And I just don't understand it. I don't, because if it were any one of your family members, I'm sure you would have gone to the hilt to make sure they were protected. Now, you know, I once again have reminded everybody how I feel about Mayor Jacobs' position here and how he's the executive of the township. And I still stand firm that I feel that he should resign. I continuously stand by that. And, you know, I would appreciate from Ms. Sullivan a notice of tort form, because I will be filing my notice of tort against the township. And I'd knock on some doors and get a petition going to run against you, Mr. Jacobs, because you are allowing a woman with her daughter to be homeless. You have completely wiped your hands of it. And by that, I'm appalled. I'm absolutely appalled. I don't understand it. That nobody here at this township capacity has even sought to ask how I'm doing, what's going on, are you okay? Yes, because we're hiding behind the cloak of Mr. Bellardo, with all due respect, of course. But you know what? If it was anybody that you guys, you know, your action just completely shows that you don't care. And you know what? Let Trump Bedminster be on Lamington Road. You know, seriously. My 1% shouldn't make this whole ordeal be completely thrown to the wayside. And I'm telling, I just don't understand it. I really don't. I'm speechless. It's absolutely obstreperous. It continues that nobody returns my phone call. I constantly have the attitude of, well, let Judge Wilson decide. You know, seriously, that is just, nobody's even thought to even look or give me any sort of position on anything. I stand firm. I'm sure Mayor Jacobs, before this is, before this issue ever came to the attention of the township, has done a fine job. But as far as I'm concerned, as of November 13th, and police coming to my house, and you allowing the calls to be responded by somebody who is not involved downstairs as a tenant, it just, the allowance, what you guys have allowed to continue is just disgraceful. But I will say, Chief Rock, I have to tell you, you have two very fine officers who really deserve promotions. You do. Your sergeant, and I will give you their names. They have been nothing but respectful, helpful, and have treated me with dignity that I felt has been completely swept and wiped away by the governing body here at the township. But I want to let you know that you've been a wonderful supervisor, and I appreciate your township's, your officers' compassion in this difficult time. Okay?
Thank you.
You're very welcome, and nothing further.
Any further public comments? All right. Monthly report discussion by subcommittee chair, Mr. Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. So I attended a Historic Preservation Committee meeting between last meeting and this meeting. Usual customary applications going through. Some of the highlights, though, to take out of that, there's the Salem oak sapling that is being donated to each of the municipalities. The Historic Preservation thought it would be a good idea to sort of house that originally at the library. So they've got the current garden spot there, but we're thinking of having in a pot. This is a famous oak tree, I guess, from Salem, New Jersey. And every municipality is getting a sapling, but they thought that would be a good idea in terms of a spot and a location for it to house it at the library. I understand that environmental might have a position on that and having it JVH, so what we'll probably do is have those two folks talk about what would be best for that issue. Wendy Hickey and Sean Blinn continuing to put together a really robust program to get into the schools to start talking about some initiatives in historic pres and the historic nature of our township and everything we have, JVH, etc. So they're going to continue to work on that and bring historic preservation to the schools and do some outreach, which I think is great. And then the other thing that I've been asked to ask for, and I don't know this is the spot for it, but Committeeman Hickey can help me out. They're looking for an update on where we stand on that feather sign ordinance, and I know it's sitting in master plan review or subcommittee at land use, but if anybody could give me a lead on where to go for that, that would be great. I just want to report back to them because they were thankful for the passage of the property maintenance ordinance that we did at the end of last year. You know, that really sort of originated in historic pres, that there were some properties located in historic districts that really needed a little bit of love and care, shall we say. And so they're very happy about the passage of that. They're just wondering what the deal is with the feather ordinance, so I just wanted to, you know, that's the sign that's out front, the nails and stuff that sort of waves in the sun, in the wind rather. So just got to try to track that down. I'll speak with Mr. Hickey after the meeting and try to get some leads on that. Add a discussion for contract negotiations, which we'll save for exec when necessary. I don't want to get into it now, but we're continuing to work through those issues, and that is everything I've got.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hickey.
Mayor, thank you. Good evening, all. First off, Mr. Stevenson, we will get you an answer because we have land use board coming up on Thursday.
Great.
So work to get you an answer on that one. Ag Committee, as the mayor knows, we recently met to review a number of farmland preservation opportunities. One of the homework items out of that meeting was that we have a comprehensive farmland preservation plan that needs to be updated. It has to be done every 10 years, and the 10 years is up. We've asked Dave Banish to give us an estimated cost and a timeline for when it could be done, and Beth Davison from the New Jersey Conservation Foundation has identified a grant from SADC that can cover half the cost of the update, up to $20,000. We're hoping, obviously, we don't go anywhere near that. What I'll do is I'll come back to this body in an upcoming meeting, give you an update in terms of the numbers for your review and approval. There's some important updates that need to be made to the plan, which include our farmers market, initiatives to broaden our agricultural opportunities here in Bedminster, as well as our efforts supporting our equine industry here. Library Board, we had a January meeting where we reviewed our budget versus actuals for 2019. Some highlights from 2019. Library attendance and programs were up 34% over 2018, and the library underran their budget by about $35,000. So it's called doing more with less. That's what we like to see. So hats off. I see Jeff Byer in the audience. He's part of our library board. So kudos to everybody in the library board and to Marie for running a great job over there. The library is looking for additional opportunities and venues to highlight the many services and programs that our library offers. So we're going to explore some of those over the course of the coming months. Board of Health. We did not meet in January as there were no pending applications, but we anticipate that our February meeting will include an update from the county on the coronavirus. The county is working to provide local health officials notifications, advisories, and training. It's coming out on a daily basis, so we should have an update for everybody at our next meeting on that one. IT, we had our January meeting. We're in the process of completing our Windows 7 to Windows 10 conversion. I know that sounds very geeky, but guess what? It's critically important because Windows 7 support has come to an end. So thanks to the good work of Judy, to our IT man, Bashant, we have completed that effort. We're continuing to focus on cybersecurity initiatives. This is an ongoing threat at the local, state, and federal level, and it requires constant diligence. So we're continuing to work on that. Board of Ed, I attended January's meeting. This was the fun part of the job. The meeting included much of robotics presentations and a bunch of pitches by the kids in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And I got to tell you, it was like Shark Tank Jr. They were talking about heated pavement to get rid of snow and ice. John, watch out, these kids are coming for your job. And they also talked about security upgrades, leveraging various forms of technology. It was just nice to see them all engaged. They were excited. They gave great presentations. It's really a kudo to and a testimony to the school and have got these kids involved in all kinds of tech and science initiatives. One of the initiatives I personally asked the board to consider was the opportunities to better cross-promote some of the town programs within the school. So, for example, put a table in the back at back to school night and talk about our rec programs. So, sometimes the parents are not aware of this stuff, even though we send out emails, we put stuff on the website. So, more actively pushing that to the parents so they're informed. So, we're going to work on some of that. Rec, I did attend our January meeting. I believe Committeewoman Fernandez is going to give us an update on that one, so I will shut my mouth and hand it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. That's, you had quite a lot crammed in there, Colin. Ms. Moreski.
I have much less than Colin, but our environmental meeting, January 15th, it was the commission's first meeting in 2020, and our new chairperson, Dawn March, welcomed its newest members, that being Whit Parker, who actually is a previous member, and Richard Costa, so welcome to them. Graciela Quintana, the committee member who's in charge of researching grants for the EC, updated us that she's waiting on the announcement of a USDA local food promotion program, and this grant would give us promotional dollars for the farmers market. Using these funds, we can do better outreach to the community, making our market more successful. John Coots, who's a committee member who's keeping an eye on open space and farmland preservation opportunities, is spearheading the Bedminster collection point for the Community Trade Recovery Program. He's currently working with others on the promotion of the program, schools, email blasts, etc. And this is a reminder for anyone who wants to update themselves on the River Road Turtle Tunnel update. It's this Wednesday, February 5th, right here at Town Hall at the EC meeting.
We're having someone from DP is coming to that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And as I mentioned before, our EV charging station is up and running, but Colin has some extra information for us.
Yes, thank you. I forgot to mention that. You know, I was thinking, last night if you watched the Super Bowl, every other commercial seemed to be about EVs, right? It was EV, and then I love the commercial about Smart Pop. Great marketing. You know, as we do our normal vehicle replacements, and Administrator Sullivan and I have been looking at this, you know, we want to take advantage of those brand new shiny charging stations that have been installed, and we looked into the state contracts, and lo and behold, there are no electric vehicles on them, which seems ridiculous, because the state is pushing and incenting municipalities to go put those stations in. Now we want to do our normal upgrades. We can't find an EV vehicle under state purchasing contract. I did reach out to Senator Doherty, Assemblyman DeMayo, Assemblyman Peterson, to see whether or not their offices can help bring some pressure to bear on this issue. They all agreed to work together. I actually got a note from Chief of Staff for Senator Doherty today. They said they are working on it. We should expect an update by the end of this week. So more to follow, hopefully, at our next meeting. So I'll keep everybody apprised on that one.
You know, it's also interesting because it was last week the governor put out his, what's actually called the 2019 Energy Master Plan. Big component of the Energy Master Plan is promoting EVs,
Right.
promoting EVs through different mechanisms, including the mechanism that we took advantage of. And yet, when you go to put it into practice, they can tell you we've got state contracts for hybrids, but that doesn't really help us out. So we're looking for those state contracts that will enable all municipalities to just go to contract and not have to go through the bargaining. Because I will say that, Colin, you reached out to Tesla, because, you know, we did a little bit of research and saw that at one point, Tesla was actually creating a marketing plan to reach out to local agencies, local governments. One article from about 3 or 4 years ago, and then the trail ran cold. Colin reached out, and you can't get anywhere. It's just, you have to go to the stores, buy them online, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
So hopefully we get a little more progress on that and put those charging stations into use.
Yep.
So back to Ms. Moreski.
Okay, so the JVH had a couple meetings just recently, and they're gearing up for their 2020 events. Please put in your book on January 6th is the summer soiree. The Fields of Honor will be back again this year, Memorial Day through July 4th.
What's the date of the summer soiree?
June 6th.
June 6th.
And as we get closer to Memorial Day, I'll have more information on what they're going to do with the Fields of Honor, because sometimes they just rent the flags, sometimes you purchase them, so I'll let you know as we find out. Also coming up soon on February 16th is the Middlebrook 5 General's Bus Tour. That's run through the Heritage Trails Association. JVH is one of the homes on this 5-stop tour of Somerset County homes that served as military headquarters during the Revolutionary War winter cantonment of 1777. Members of JVH will be on hand to give tours through the house. Tickets are available at www.htanj.org. And that's all I have.
Ms. Fernandez.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a rec committee update. I attended the meeting on January 21st. Formally, the rec committee would like to thank Vinny DiMartino for his 12 years of service on the committee. He's moving on to other committees now. One of the main things we talked about is we're going to increase the frequency of meetings. So instead of meeting every quarter, we will be meeting every other month. The committee began working on a survey. The last time a survey was done was in 2007. So it's just a survey for the residents to have input on what types of facility updates we need and what programs they'd like. And there was a survey done in 2001 and then another one in 2007. That was the last one. This survey that we're looking into would be electronic. So residents would receive maybe on the summer camp post or on their tax bill insert link, and they would be able to go online then and fill out the survey. The rec committee is also working on a wish list, and they're revisiting parks and facilities wish list compiled in 2017 master plan update. Basketball is flourishing in Bedminster. The coaches love and have expressed how much they love and how proud they are to have Bedminster right on their uniforms, as opposed to Somerset Hills. There's 162 children in grades kindergarten through 8th grade registered in our programs, and that's up slightly from 157 last year. That's actually 31% of the students enrolled in Bedminster School that are also enrolled in the basketball program, so that's flourishing. Wanted to thank the Purnell School because they generously provide us with additional practice space when we need it. And adult indoor volleyball is coming March through May. There are 2 spring bus trips that are coming up, one for adults and two for families. And summer camps are fully scheduled, and more information will be going out soon regarding that. And just save the date for the Bedminster Far Hills Egg Hunt on April 11th at noon at the Far Hills Fairgrounds.
Great. Okay, so now it's my turn. Okay, so earlier in January, I was invited by Congressman Malinowski to the Mayor's Breakfast, which was held at the Bridgewater Library. Congressman was there. We had about, let's see, from the district, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about 14, 15 mayors from really across the district were there in attendance just to ask the Congressman some questions. Gave also the Congressman the opportunity to talk about what he's been doing. So he does sit on the Transportation Infrastructure Subcommittee. So he's been very well placed to work with the municipalities on transportation funding, which really was probably a large part of the discussion. Questions from the other mayors had to do with, it's interesting, deer management. There's a lot of questions directed to the Congressman on deer management from the different municipalities. The Congressman said he'd reach out to USDA, but I think from our experience, most of the deer management programs here are coordinated with the state, if they're coordinated at all. Let's see. He has moved his headquarters to Somerville, in case anyone is interested. And we just had the opportunity to ask the Congressman about some transportation issues, particularly about Route 78 and 287 and the construction that's been going on both on Rattlesnake Bridge Road, and also the opportunity for some further improvements that we may like to see here in Bedminster, such as a direct connect from 202 to 206 coming up from Bridgewater, connecting straight to 78. I've had some further dialogue with reps from the Congressman's office concerning what we've heard in the past from DOT, that since they only like 4-way interchanges and they look at that connection and, well, you know, if you do 1 or 2, that really doesn't fit the policy and the protocol. So we asked the Congressman's office if they could just dig a little deeper into that policy and see if it is a hard and fast rule or something that they could look at a little deeper and maybe explore some opportunities there. But it was good because they did move the Congressman's office to Somerville. His staff was very familiar with having to come up 202, 206, drive through Pluckman, take the River Road U-turn, head back down south, get on 287, and get back onto 78 heading east. So they were well familiar with that issue, so hopefully we get a little movement there. Let's see, Land Use Board. So as Mr. Hickey mentioned, we do have a meeting coming up this week. It's regarding we have a variance for a garage on Lamington, and then we'll have probably some brief discussions about updates that the Land Use Board needs to look at, including some master plan discussions as well. So the issue about the feather flags is certainly one that was put to the master plan last year. Master Plan Committee will, once again, will take another hard look at that, especially at the ordinance that was proposed by the Historic Preservation Committee. And I know there's been discussion about a complete ban versus various iterations where it's not so onerous. So we'll see with the Master Plan Committee what the recommendation eventually is back to the Land Use Board, and Mr. Hickey will report on that when that comes up. Farmers Market. You take your drink. Right. So Farmers Market, we had our meeting. We have finalized the registration packet, went out. Everyone who attended last year will be given the opportunity to apply. A bunch of new vendors who have approached both the Farmers Market and the Township directly will be given the opportunity to submit applications. Everything pretty much is going to remain the same. The pricing, we decided there was no need for additional price increases for attendance at the Farmers Market. And the Market Committee will be meeting again shortly because we're trying to get everything wrapped up quickly. So just as the farmers and vendors are trying to lock up their season for 2020, we want to make sure that we don't lose opportunities because we are too late on that. Bedminster Hills Housing Corporation. So Renee and I had the meeting last week with BHHC, looking at the numbers that are actually on the market right now. There's only about 3 or 4. There's been sometimes over the last few months there's been 0 or sometimes 1. So certainly with the loss of a lot of the affordable housing units coming off restriction, there are less units that are being sold. So we are certainly here within the township, we're looking at transitioning once Sharon DeSico retires, and something that Judy has been in contact with different agencies. So imagine sooner or later we'll have to discuss proceeding forward, and maybe something we discuss in executive session, maybe at a future meeting. So
I'm trying to set up a meeting within the next 2 weeks with some of the potential.
with some of the potentials, okay. And so maybe, do you want to have the first screening and then bring us in, or should we all meet with you directly on that?
That's up to you.
Okay. All right, we'll discuss that offline. And that's it for my report. And Ms. Sullivan, may we please have the administrator's report?
Just to follow up on Congressman Malinowski's breakfast that you went to, I did get a call today from his office saying there's a conference call tomorrow that they said they sent a message to you and wanted to know if you were participating in the conference call tomorrow around 3.
I think that was...
It was about an appropriations request?
See, I thought when they sent out the follow-up for that call, I thought that was for the mayors who didn't make the breakfast.
Okay.
But I will, you know what, if I'm available at 3, I'll
Okay, they
send me
asked
some of the
if you were
details, I'll join.
participating, and they said they sent it to you directly, so I told them I would check with you tonight.
Okay.
So, anyway. We recently got together to review our proposal for video system that the court is asking for. We were discussing potential 70-inch screen monitor with a projector. The court and the police department were requesting that upgrade. We would do that with funding from the court capital ordinance and the communication grant that we have, so there wouldn't be any taxpayer money we would need to raise to do this. When we met with the company proposing to do the upgrade, who was the same company that did our video and recording system, we got into a discussion. We had police here, we had court here, Committeeman Hickey was here, John Mance, myself, our IT. We had a big discussion. It was suggested that maybe the monitor might be even a little bit larger, and Colin, you gotta help me out if I say something wrong, that we would eliminate the projector
Correct.
and just go with a laptop and some kind of connection. HDMI?
Yes, very good, Judy.
I have no idea what that is, but it would be an HDMI connection that would potentially, then the other idea we had was we would ultimately at some point be going to some sort of, I don't want to say, paperless access for everybody at the dais. We would have connections for that. As to what particular system, we're not there yet, but something to think about. A lot of towns are doing this now. So, if we were to eliminate the projector and go with a larger screen, I don't have a written proposal from the company, but he threw out a number. It's about the same if we go to an 80-inch screen and eliminate the projector as if we were to keep the 70-inch screen and with the projector.
What's the size of the screen for the projector? Is that similar to the
We're
80-inch?
saying 70-inch
Okay.
monitor.
No, so if we did what we currently have, is it about, is the 80-inch, about the 80-inch monitor the same size as our projection screen? Roughly?
I don't, if you put that down, I'll go get a tape
That's
measure
larger?
if you want.
Okay.
Put the screen on, I'll go get a
Yeah.
tape measure. While you continue.
No, it's not that important, John.
That the monitor would be on a cantilever arm and would go to the audience.
Right.
All right? And then we talked about a smaller monitor up here for the dais. We discussed that might look a little
Kludgy.
kludgy. Okay. So then it was suggested maybe everyone would have small, I'll call them iPads or Chromebooks or something like that that would be on the dais. And, you know, that would eliminate the need for another monitor facing the dais.
Right. And then for the judge who needs to look at the testimony from time to time, she would have her separate screen that would sit here. Basically, she could view it as need be. The rest of the audience, defendant, prosecution could see the big screen there. By the way, just one point, even though that screen there is larger from a dimensional standpoint, when you go to 4K on a LED screen, high-def screen, it's much clearer, it's much sharper than what you would get on an old-style projection technology now. So it should be much more legible to the audience and to us as well. But the notion is, Ms. Sullivan mentioned, is long-term, we should get away from these paper binders and have either, Chromebooks or some form of electronic device so that we can review the material up here, it would be wirelessly connected, we can see what's being presented in front of us as well. It just, bring us up to the times. As well as, by the way, we're also going to have a connection in front here, so anybody presenting at that desk can just plug in and they'll have access to that monitor. We can also connect wirelessly as well, so that if we have something on our laptops we want to show, we can do that as well.
So the last proposal was for a monitor there, and the idea was a monitor against that wall.
I know.
All right, so you and John met,
Yes,
you nixed the one on that wall.
because there's too much traffic on that wall and the projection of the monitor would come out. You'd be walking into it basically. But we realize that we have to provide a facility for us to be able to see, particularly if the one over there is cantilever towards the audience, as well as the judge needs something when she is in court. So rather than put a big screen over there, that's going to be a safety issue, put the big screen there, put a small screen here for the judge that can be transported in on court day, and then ultimately we go to all electronic devices down the road.
Down the road.
Down the road.
So the proposal that we're waiting on, you're just waiting on one proposal at this point?
Correct.
Well, he gave us a price of what the 80-inch screen would be. He goes, before I go any further, are you interested in an 80-inch screen, or do you want to stick with the 70-inch screen? Because we said, what's the biggest? So, the 80-inch screen is much more expensive than the 70-inch.
Will the proposal also address the technology that Colin is describing? So where everyone who's up here, the judge, presumably even land use boards, they would be connected to the same system?
Yes.
And that's going to be in that proposal?
That's going to, so be able to wirelessly connect to the monitor, yes. To be able to plug in hardwire HDMI connection from there to that desk, yes. Everything goes back to the video cabinet there. The only thing that's not included is when we ultimately upgrade to electronic. That's outside bounds of the current project.
Okay. All right, and the time for that proposal?
He didn't give me a timing, I'm sorry.
Okay.
He just was giving me numbers, before he gave me something firm, he wanted to know were we going with the 70 or the 80-inch. So
Is the 8, you said that the 80 was more expensive than the 70, but when you factor in you don't have the projection.
if you take out the projector
Is it
and go
apples
to
to
the
apples?
80-inch screen, it's about the same.
Okay, when the proposal does come in, I would just recommend having a brief discussion with the judge and the staff to make sure that this is not going to be something that's contrary to anything that they're thinking.
Absolutely. And the good news is at least the court administrator was here on the day we were running and mapping this out, and they seemed very satisfied with what we were coming up with. But you're right. We'll get the numbers in, we'll run it through again, just make sure everybody's happy.
Okay.
But the 70-inch is cheaper than the 80-inch.
You take a step up when you go just a little bit bigger, it's very true.
It's a big
Right,
money.
I know.
$2,000.
So maybe we have to go back to a 70 or 75 and then figure out, as long as we have electronic devices at the end of the day, ultimately, that may be a perfect solution for everybody.
So, more to come on that. I was also asked to do a little more investigation and research on the iBank. We'll go into this more at our budget meeting, which is coming up on Monday. I did look into, we had talked about just one piece of it was the option of principal forgiveness. And principal forgiveness is only available for water and sewer projects, not for transportation projects. So I'll give you more details of that at our meeting coming up on Monday. We also had JCP&L, their tree crew came in to see me on Friday. They have some tree work they're doing up on Mount Prospect Road and Washington Valley Road, those two roads only. They just wanted to let us know that that's coming within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and they have an actual sheet that they need the police chief, public works, administration, and mayor to sign off that we have been notified they will be in the area of trimming, significantly trimming trees. When I say trimming, not just pruning, but some heavy-duty tree trimming. So that's here for signature before we leave. I'll leave that with you, John. And just a reminder, as I said, this coming Monday, February 10th, is our next budget work session. February 24th, after that, we will be with the 2 fire companies in town and our assessor.
They're both showing up at that same time?
They're showing up on the
Okay.
24th, along with our assessor with updated assessment totals. And March 9th will be, our auditor will be coming. So those will be our upcoming meetings. I think that's all.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. We have discussion on introduced ordinances. We have none for public hearing, so we will have the introduction of the first ordinance for 2020, which is ordinance 2020-001. This ordinance authorizes the funding of a 2020 capital project for the repaving and reconstruction of River Road West. And we have a motion to introduce the ordinance.
So moved?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And Judy, the public hearing for this ordinance?
I'm sorry, the public hearing for this ordinance will be at the next meeting, which is Tuesday, February 18th.
Okay.
And there'll be some notice that should have been on the bottom there. This is to fund, our project. We did have 12 bidders at the bid opening, which was great, and the project came in just slightly under 500, so that's what we have. Grant funding for $455,000, so the contribution from the town would be $45,000.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Public hearing of ordinances, we have none. Consent agenda, we have 5 items on the consent agenda. Is everyone happy with having those items on the consent agenda? If there's a motion to pull anything from them, please speak up now. Seeing none, may we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
I'm sorry, who's motion?
Some-
I'm sorry. This will be a roll call vote. So Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Markey? Aye. Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, which leaves one resolution not on the consent agenda, which is Resolution 2020-26, approving the participation of the Bedminster Township Police Department in the 1033 Military Surplus Program. Is this a Judy or is this a Chief? Chief,
Good evening, Mayor.
good evening.
This is just a routine resolution that we're required to pass to keep us in the, give us the ability to secure retired federal equipment if we need it, and then, during the calendar year. I think originally when the program came back in like 14, we passed like one resolution. Now they're requiring a resolution every year. So, I mean, some of the things are as simple as surplus binoculars, sledgehammers, office furniture, things like that, I think we're situated pretty good with the, any kind of big military looking vehicles or anything, we're not in the market for that. So just if anything becomes available, and it's almost like you have to continually check the list to see what's there, and then without the resolution, you can't move to say we want it.
Who at the department actually checks that list?
It is Sergeant Cummins.
Okay.
He is the LESO 1033 contact.
Great. Any further questions? And we have a motion to approve Resolution 2020-26.
So moved.
Second. Again, roll call vote. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski? Aye. Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thanks.
Discussion items. Are there any items that the Township Committee members want to put up for public discussion?
We have to approve a bill list.
Oh, yes, the bill list. Make budget so much easier without that. May we have a motion to approve the bill list pending review of individual invoices?
So moved?
Second.
Okay, again, roll call vote. Mr. Stevenson?
Abstain?
Ms. Abstain, I'm sorry.
I'm on the bill
Caught
list.
me off guard. You're on the bill list.
I'm on
Yes,
it.
you are. Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski? Aye. Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thanks.
Discussion item. Any member of this committee have anything they want to put up for public discussion? If seeing none, let's move to new business. So, Judy, any further discussion with the NJW rate intervention? Is that later on?
Yes.
Oh, I'm jumping ahead. Is that, do we have
No, it's not on there.
Okay.
This actually came in the mail today. It is an official notice from New Jersey American Water with, the actual notice that Mr. Mosco was looking for.
Mhm.
So I did send him a copy. I did hear from Fart Hills. They are interested in participating. Berners Township doesn't have a final word there. They will get back to us, but there was interest. There was interest also from Bridgewater. I met with the Burnsville administrator last week on another matter, and he said they also have interest looking at costs. And I said, well, we really don't have a hard number on costs, just estimates. And PPAC, I haven't heard anything firm from yet. So I did work with Township Engineer, Mr. Ferrero. He showed me how to get to a Highlands Council website where they actually show you all the properties in town that have New Jersey American Water. So it's a way to determine how many properties you have that are serviced by New Jersey American Water. So I can share that with the other towns if they don't have a good number on how many properties.
Is that no, let's see. Most of the, Bridgewater's not going to be in the Highlands.
No.
Does it, that same
But-
mapping still
but,
give you
you know,
additional,
most of the
information
other
beyond the Highlands area?
Most of the other towns,
Okay.
Peacock, Fart Hills, Burnsville, we
Right.
can get it that way.
Okay.
So
All
we're
right.
working on the numbers.
So, do you want to add the NJW at least until we keep that process going, just
So
add
as
it?
old business?
Yeah, or just add it to new business for a while,
Okay.
and depending upon where it goes, either transition to old business or take it off. And Judy, you might just want to make sure that the other towns get a copy of that as well.
So this was actually sent to all clerks. So all clerks should have gotten it, but I will...
But also because remember, that same email that I received a few
Not
months
everybody
back.
got it.
Well, if they did, they
Okay.
don't
I
remember.
will I will forward it to all the involved towns that we were talking to.
Okay, great. Which brings to old business and short-term rentals.
I went to both zoning official and fire prevention who haven't had any new short-term rental issues that have been brought to their attention, but with our updates, we have seen a huge increase in landlord registration. You can just see I put a few notes on the agenda, where in 2017 we had 62 new registrations, 2018 89 new registrations, and in 2019 when we started really following up, 165 new registrations for landlords.
So do we know where those registrations are coming from?
Primarily the hills, but
And do you think that's primarily a function of the short-term rentals or folks that are renting out their units completely?
Because we've been working with a lot of the management companies and, you know, the different associations, just to make them aware of what the requirements are, what the rules are as far as the inspections. Every time there's a new tenant, there needs to be the inspections with the smoke detectors and you know, all the steps that need to be done along the way. So, a lot of them just didn't know about it before, didn't know they were required to do all this.
Registrations also coming from the western side of town as well?
Yes, some, not, but primarily the hills, but no, we have them throughout the whole.
Okay.
Yeah.
And any further enforcement action or anything else with the Airbnb or VRBO listings?
We're looking at them again regularly, but we haven't seen anything new to report.
Okay. All right, thank you. And breaking.
Mayor, I want to appreciate Chief Rock and John's support. The sign is back. The noise is down, at least anecdotally. So thank you both gentlemen. That's all I have right now, Mayor.
You know, I will say I was on County Road, I think it was 519 up in Warren County, and coming through Harmony Township. Yellow signs on the county road, no engine brake. So the reason I was
Did
on...
you snap off the photo?
Well, the reason I was on 519 is actually I had a meeting with Warren County on a work matter, and to the county, you know, you got no engine brake sign on your county road. Oh, we got to get rid of that. The minute that town just put those signs up, never consulted with us, and you know, we don't like those signs because, you know, you're not supposed to put no engine brake signs on. I said,
Right.
well, you know, it sounds like the town just went ahead and did. He said, well, you know, they've been up there for a while, but, you know, we got to get them down. And I had the opportunity to talk to the mayor of that town on a different matter. And he said, yeah, we put them up. The rose is down. The residents are happier. And if the county takes them down, then, you know, we'll deal with that when it happens.
Put them back up.
And there was we had got into a little bit of discussion about the legal nuance of actually putting those signs up there. And the recommendation was not necessarily to treat it as a no engine brake, but to look at it as the enforcement of your noise code,
Yeah.
or if you have a specific noise ordinance. So I know that in the past that we've talked about that, and it gets a little troubling because of the different highways we do have in town where you may not want to put the restrictions on engine braking. But perhaps there may be a little merit to having that discussion a little deeper, and maybe something that I want to talk to John to do a little bit more research into that. I think we did some research.
Well versed in noise ordinances.
All right, so
There's model ordinances that you need to pass as a result of the Noise Control Act of 1971.
So if anyone's looking to discuss noise ordinances in chapter and verse, Mr. Blardo was right over there. And with that, Judy, Pluckman Park, anything further?
Nothing new, as far as complaints or issues, you know, that's new.
We haven't heard anything further about the potential sale of the complex?
Not at all. I will tell you, previous gentleman who was the main contact
Mhm.
has now been totally replaced by the woman that we were dealing with. He's moved on to another part of the company, so.
And I've not heard anything further from those two residents who had who I had contacted and Doug had contacted as well. But I think, Doug, probably both of us should reach out to them just to see how they feel with the improvements and what the sense of the residents is as to the ownership and the improvements that have been made. Mr. Hickey,
JCP&L.
JCP&L outages.
Uh,
Johnny, you were on JCP&L. All right,
A couple of items, Mayor. We had a meeting between our JCP&L rep, Carol Bianchi, and Chief Rock, OEM Director Rubin, Mr. Mance, and Administrator Sullivan. We want to make sure we have the contacts and processes in place when we encounter emergency situations that involve loss of power, particularly storm-related outages. So I thought that was a worthwhile investment of our time, and I think we've kind of got all our ducks in a row on that one. I appeared before the BPU last month and testified on behalf of Bedminster, asking that JCP&L continue to invest in and pursue their Infrastructure Investment Program, IIP, which they described to us before in public. Just a reminder that involves enhanced vegetative management, equipment upgrades, things like reclosers and trip savers, which we learned about, and some reliability engineering improvements. I think that's critically important that they continue that work. We're already seeing results here in town as a result of it, and we want to encourage the BPU to consider that as they move forward. I also had the opportunity to participate in a presentation hosted by JCP&L at their Morristown headquarters last week. Got a knock tour, got to better understand how they respond to emergencies and outages, and I saw firsthand some of the equipment that they use, including I saw a trip saver, and I saw reclosers, and I saw old fuses and new ones. And look, it's very informative because it's part of the ongoing dialogue that we've had with JCP&L as they partner with us to better understand what we need, and they keep us apprised of what they're pursuing. So it's a two-way communication. Very appreciative of that. And finally, Carol has agreed to give us a brief update at our next meeting on the 18th. She plans on doing it during initial public comments. We've also notified the Hills Working Group, Jackie, and the rest of the Jays, so that they can be in attendance. So we should get an update from Carol at that time.
great. Thank you. This is the second opportunity for public comments. The microphone is still open. Any members of the public have comments? Seeing none, we will move to Township Committee comments. Oh, there's a slow walker up there. If you have additional comments, Ms. Sumner, please proceed.
I would love to, thanks. I just want you all to know, and I really hope people don't snicker at my situation, but this has taken a toll on me and my mother. And it just, it's disheartening to me, regardless of representation from the township or not, that nobody has even thought to try and even give Mr. Bellardo some sort of resource list. It's not hard. It's not. You know, we're a month after the court hearing, where Judge Wilson expressed his disapproval that Bedminster has yet to contact me in any sort of great length or made an effort. While most of the residents here don't either have the time or care enough to attend these public meetings like I do, I will definitely make sure to highlight everybody's disregard for the law and the apathy towards my situation. Like I said, I'm absolutely disgusted that you could even nominate Mr. Jacobs again, knowing that the situation is continuously not going anywhere, not being remedied. We have 2 women here on the committee. We're in 2020, and, you know, no. I'm appalled. I'm really appalled. And of course, you know, oh, can't comment on that, Miss Sumner. What is somebody, I mean, really, what if this happened to your family? Put yourself in my position. What would you guys do if your landlord rented you a dwelling and you guys were ordered to vacate by the town? What would you do? What backup plan would you guys have? Because I'll be honest with you, I sure as heck didn't have one. I had till 6 o'clock that night after Mr. Dill came out to my house with Tom Anderson and Mr. Haggerty and everybody else who had no idea that Bedminster had apartments, but yet everybody goes on, oh boy, the county got an easement, and the township made sure that, you know, in there, the apartments were noted, and then nobody had a clue. Nobody. Nobody had an absolute clue what was going on there, and now, I've gone to the Somerset County Prosecutor's Office. I had let them know that there was an affidavit signed by Jorger stating that there was no prior mortgage on that property, and now, what do you know, she's under foreclosure. That's alarming. That's alarming. Very, very alarming. It seems very simple to me. You get it, you're under foreclosure and you give somebody $4 million, and where did the money go? Where'd it go? I'm still on the street. Y'all are here. Nobody's trying to help me out. And I continuously keep, I mean, really, what do I have to do? Post pink signs? I vote for Kate, and then everybody will know what's going on? I'll do it, I don't care. I have a lot of time on my hands. I'm the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce. I have more than enough executive experience to probably make sure that this town should be run a little better than what it is right now.
Thank you, Ms. Sumner, for your comments.
Absolutely.
Anyone else from the public? Name and address, please.
Jeff Byer, Riverwood Avenue, Edmonston. You brought up the topic of our water company, NJAW, who in Hills also is in charge of the sewer lines and the sewer bills. I think as Mr. Stevenson knows and Ms. Fernandez knows, when we were out campaigning, probably the complaint we heard the most was people who had individual water meters, but were still just given a flat rate as far as their sewer bill is concerned. It's not based on usage, which is what everybody wants. Now, I don't know if they realize that their bill may go up if they put it all on usage, but everybody at least feels that that is a more fair solution. So I'm asking that when you have your discussions with New Jersey American Water, that you bring up that everybody would prefer, at least everybody who's talking to me, to have a more equitable solution like you and I do and on the other side of town, where it's all based on your water usage, not just a flat rate. You know, they're always the person who uses hardly any water at all. It's that person down the hall from me who uses a tremendous amount, and I'm paying the same sewer bill. That's just not right. So I just bring that up to have you aware that this is a concern with many people in town, that they don't feel it's equitable the way that it's set up in the Hills. For some of the condos, they only have one water meter for the whole unit, the whole building. That you can't change, but there's many others who have individual water meters, and they say, why am I being charged a flat rate like these other people are? So
It's certainly something that the town has looked into and has had discussion with EDC, and EDC is owned by NJW. The pending matter before BPU for the rate increase is actually only on water, so it's not on sewer, so it would not be discussion of this rate increase, but it's certainly something that we've discussed in the past with EDC.
will the discussion come up for the next water sewer review with them?
It always does, and right now, in the past, we had intervened when EDC wanted a rate increase. We negotiated a 5-year rate increase moratorium, and I believe that probably was over this year. It was over this year. There's been no subsequent activity by EDC or NJW to raise the rates. And I think one of the things that you did mention, and this keeps coming back, and I think we've had this discussion probably since I've been on Township Committee, the same topic, that the way the hills were built is that they did not individually meter. So it's both on consumption, it's both on consumption on the home use, so it's not capturing, so if they did do it on water and not on sewer meters, so you're going to be capturing all the irrigation, everything else, scratch the surface a little deeper, and you're not quite sure. All the folks that, just as you said, there'll be some who pay more and some who pay less. Until NJAW and EDC are ready to put meters on everybody, and both sewer and water, which is probably going to result in an enormous rate increase because of the infrastructure to put those meters back in. This is going to be something that we have discussions with EDC, and we'll continue to do so.
Okay, what I'm bringing up now is not to make the big infrastructure change that you're saying. That I agree with you that I think the people who are in the units where there's only one meter for the whole building, they're okay with that. It's the people who have the individual meters and are paying a flat rate. And they're not paying this. We've been on knocking on those doors as well, Jeff.
Right.
No issue well.
Okay,
Right. Thank you.
all right.
Township Committee comments. Mr. Stevenson.
No comments tonight, Mayor Jacobs.
Mayor, no comments, thank you.
Two little ones, Doug, just to let you know, my Crestmont neighborhood is very interested in joining with you if and when you find the new light poles with the LEDs.
Okay.
I would be happy to jump in on that if they can.
Okay.
And to let everybody know that the Mars Essex Hunt Trials over Marlin Farms will be July 18th and 19th this year. It's for the Brady, or the Life Camp of Newark. I always want to say Brady. They need volunteers, and it's a great thing to go to and just have some fun.
Ms. Hernandez.
No comments tonight, thank you, Mayor.
No comments from me. We do have an executive session. We have a number of matters on for executive session, and we will, or we may, be taking action after we return to open session. So with that, may we have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, we will be back hopefully shortly.
Okay, we are back on.
Okay, we are back on, and let me check the time. It is 9:49. We are back from executive session, and we actually have two resolutions to consider. And first resolution is so Judy, the first resolution that we have before us is
2020-28, authorizing the appointment of tax collector, sewer collector, tax surcharge.
okay, because the one I have in front of me is
That's the second one.
that's the second one. Okay. So, Resolution 2020-028, which is authorizing the appointment of a tax collector, sewer collector, tax search officer. And we will be amending that based upon the discussions that we just had. And so, Judy, can you just tell us what the amending resolution would say?
The amending resolution appoints Adriana McKenna, effective January 1st, 2020, as tax collector, tax search officer, and sewer collector to fill the unexpired term of Donna Cummins at the salary of $75,000.
And what's the length of that term for?
So that Donna Cummins, she will fill Donna Cummins' term that began in 2019, January 1st, 2022. So it'll be till December 31st, 2022.
Okay.
She will be filling that term, and then she'll need to be reappointed after that.
But during the pendency of the term, the salary is still subject to increases
Yes,
as an employee.
yes. The term is separate from the compensation.
Okay. Any questions or comments concerning the appointment of Adriana McKenna as tax collector?
Just the, on that very comment that you made, Mayor, in terms of availability for increases, that would, I understand, not be the case for 2020, is that right?
Correct. So to Committeeman Stevenson's point, since this is a new salary, in 2020, so she's not going to be subject to the whatever salary increase we put in effect for 2020, since she's being hired in this position in calendar year 2020. So does that need to be reflected there, or does that get reflected?
No, that's the verbiage that's in already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any further questions or comments regarding Resolution 2020-28? A motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Dickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski? Aye. Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
Second resolution is Resolution 2020-030. This resolution amends Resolution 2019-058, appointing Donna Cummins as a part-time consultant to the tax collector's office. So this is an hourly rate for Donna Cummins to fill in some details that are necessary for the tax collector position. And frankly, I imagine that...
It's an as needed. It may not
It's
be
as needed.
As needed.
We believe it, there may be some
Maybe-
reason over the next
maybe
couple
not.
of
Maybe
days.
some questions from the auditor that she may need to assist us with.
And
if
so
she would-
really this position is really just very temporary.
Yes.
Okay, understood. And it's at the, let's see, $50 an hour rate.
Right.
Okay. And everyone remembers Donna Cummins was our long-term tax collector. If there are no other questions or comments, may we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Again, roll call vote, Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Dickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski? Aye. Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
May we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Gavel.
Got you an engraved gavel.
My wife likes it too.